Warning, the following program contains sensitive material that may be unsettling to some audiences. The Pedantic Pedestrians are not responsible for any injuries or paranormal activity that may occur during the viewing of this program, including, and not limited to, whiplash, bipolar disorder, a sprained ankle, or demonic possession. Viewer discretion is advised.
Two guns. Do you want to, encourage people to respect the host? So funny, Chad.
When you see people laughing. Nah, like, pause it. What did he say? Whenever it sounds like he said.
And we're live.
How did you know?
I don't know. I guess you told me you were done counting down.
Oh, okay.
Is this thing on?
This thing on?
Are we live?
Well, yeah, I don't know where Zidane is. He's AFK. Might have to fire him. So who do we have in the chat? Just
Adonde
young-minded.
Zidane.
The real Smexy. Who's Smexy? Well, have you guys been keeping up with the Epstein files?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love those things.
So I'm noticing a lot of parallels with Watergate and the Nixon administration, where Nixon was just absolutely reluctant to release the audio recordings. And there was that huge battle with Congress constantly trying to push for him to release it to the public. And he did everything he could to sort of delay the process. So here, that seems to be the case, but instead of the audio recordings, it's the Epstein documents. And it's just, why is he so reluctant to actually release it to the public? You think he's got something to hide? Yeah.
He's completely innocent because
He's clean, John.
He's the best president that ever existed. Mad about that.
Yeah, I just can't compare.
Yeah.
That does seem to be the go-to for this administration, because they've done that with a lot of unemployment statistics for the last month. They're just not going to be published because they're not going to look good.
Yeah, well, Trump's a billionaire, so that automatically means he's a perfect human being, because that's how it works, according to Trump tards. But let's get in the first video.
New and incredibly revealing details about Jeffrey Epstein and his opinions of Donald Trump, someone that Epstein once called his closest friend for 10 years. Emails and text messages show that Epstein continued to be focused on Trump when he became president, questioning his sanity, psychoanalyzing him as someone who feels alone and might, quote, crack, even suggesting, without explanation in one email, quote, I am the one able to take him down. Obviously, in the context of all of this, you want to know more there, but we don't have the context. The two men, of course, were once extremely close. Several associates of both of them have told us over the past year that they were the best of friends. Andrew Kaczynski of K-File is out front now with his new reporting. And Andrew, you actually went through it. It's a lot. You can get document dump like this.
Yeah.
You can word search, which actually was not easy in these documents because they were scanned. But then you have to really try to read them. And you read through thousands of pages. What did you find?
That's right, Aaron. And after going through thousands of these newly released...
What do you think they found?
Bubba. You heard about Bubba, John?
No.
I wonder if they'll touch on that, John. So spoilers,
Well,
you might learn about Bubba.
Because Trump sure did.
I was thinking, what if it turned out that Trump did nothing illegal at the Epstein estate, and he just the only thing that's in the documents is photographs of him sucking Bill Clinton's dick and being submissive, engaging in a submissive act towards Bill Clinton. And Trump's ego can't take it. And what if that is the only thing that's preventing him from releasing the documents?
Have
Wouldn't it be
you
hilarious
seen the new
if that-
South Park episode?
No.
This is relevant. So if that's the case, it would turn out like the end of the new South Park episode. Spoilers for that. but it would be like the end of the new South Park episode where Trump just calls it into Fox and Friends and just goes, "No, it's fake.
Hmm. It's all
AI did it."
conspiracy. Yeah, they used AI before AI was even a thing. Or maybe Area 51 had some type of AI that was more sophisticated than the AI we have now.
So here's the thing, John. You hit the nail on the head. So somewhere in these emails, someone asks Jeffrey Epstein if he thinks Putin has the photo of Donald blowing Bubba. Now, apparently, Bubba was a nickname for Bill Clinton back in the day, but not only this, it has come to light that there is maybe a crisis as to which Bubba we're talking about. Because apparently, word on the street is Ghislaine Maxwell also owned a horse named Bubba.
Ooh, so there's some Walsh sort of foul play going on here.
What do you think?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, I was gonna ask what do you think would be worse, but I think that's pretty fucking obvious.
Now,
what do you think?
Can horses consent?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No matter how much they seem to enjoy Donald Trump's mouth.
So if that's the case, should we add animal cruelty to the list of crimes that he is guilty of? Or at least another crime he should be charged of and then later found guilty of?
Well, I don't know, man. It depends. I mean, what if Epstein had a gun to his head and was like, "Suck that horse cock or you're gonna die"?
What a good friend.
Then he should have reported it.
But what if he was backed by multinational intelligence organizations that had to keep him under the thumb?
Oh yeah, the reptilian Illuminati cult. Okay.
Yeah. They put him up to it.
The deep state, reptilian, QAnon, like Illuminati cult, that's the thing you point to whenever there's absolutely no evidence or explanation. They use their all-powerful deep state powers to just make anything poof in and out of existence with their unlimited resources.
Emails, there's a few things that quickly became clear to all of us. One is that Epstein kept bringing up Donald Trump long after Trump said their friendship had ended. His private comments about Trump were, for the most part, remarkably negative and harsh, and he sort of often cast himself as someone who understood the former president's mindset. Now, in messages in 2017 and 2018, he described him as, quote, effing crazy. You can see that right there, speculated he might have early dementia, called him a maniac, borderline insane. There was something where he compared him to a mob boss or something where somebody messaged him.
Dude. He was fucking crazy. He was a maniac and borderline insane when it came to his, like, the kind of sex that he dished out. I mean, what if Trump was
maniac.
Yeah, he's just a madman in bed.
That Trump is truly stupid, to which he replied, duh. So, one of the emails that we found that was very interesting was...
Yeah, Trump fucked so hard that it was almost like he had dementia afterwards.
This one to Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, in which Epstein harshly described Trump, writing, quote, "I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body, so yes, dangerous." Another we found seemingly mocked Trump. It was a 2019 exchange in which a contact wrote, "Just met your friend POTUS," and he responded back, "See if you still have your wallet." And this one where he discusses his view of how Trump was handling the investigation, Epstein wrote, "Your world does not understand how dumb he really is. He will blame everyone around him for the bad results."
I mean, it's really incredible when you go through this, right? And you realize how, these files, how, as Garcia was just talking about, right? Just the frequency with which Trump's name was mentioned.
I mean, who takes accountability these days? Don't we all just engage in self-justification?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of accountability in the chat, Rebecca makes a good point. Are you just jealous?
Yeah, I'm hella jealous of Trump.
I'm
If
jealous.
only I could compare.
I'm jealous of his bank account. Fuck yeah.
Well, he's a billionaire, so that automatically means he's a genius and never makes any mistakes, and he's got everything figured out. And he's incapable of any sort of foul play or wrongdoing. That's how it works. Wealth is the ultimate measurement of everything. A person's moral and ethical compass and their capability in any and all areas.
Trump obviously has never been accused by law enforcement of any wrongdoing, and it's important to always note that when we're talking about this. But the emails do suggest that Trump was a recurring fixation for Epstein, right? He keeps talking about him. He keeps analyzing him. What kind of insight did Epstein claim to have into Trump?
Analyzing
in the context of the fact that we know for many years the two men were very close.
Very close, very close. And Trump had said in that New York Magazine article where he called him a, quote, terrific guy that they had been,
Yeah, they got very close in many ways. Island.
For 15 years at that point. That was in the year 2000, so going all the way back to the 1980s. And Aaron, what you see in these messages is that Trump did talk about Epstein as if he was someone he had special insight to.
What if Bubba's the horse, and what we see is the Clintons, Trump, Epstein, and the horse, they're all in bed with one another?
The horse is under the sheets.
Other
Yeah.
Now, I
like
just
the
need to
epic
address
Epstein
something.
orgy.
Go ahead.
No,
I
go
need
ahead.
to address something in the chat. This is relevant to what you just said. Starlink NASDAQ trader. Gene doesn't have AIDS because if he did, he would have certainly given them to me by now with all of the nasty gay sex we have all the time. Isn't that right, Gene?
Fake news.
People did describe Trump as impulsive, isolated, in his own
That
words,
only works
quote,
when
nuts
Trump
and dangerous.
does it,
Take a look at this
Jamie.
2018 email where they're
Okay.
discussing this Daily Beast
Mhm.
story that suggested that Trump was having a mental breakdown. He wrote, he feels alone and is nuts, using 3 exclamation points. I told everyone from day one, evil, beyond belief, mad, and most thought I was speaking metaphorically. It's obvious he could crack. Stormy Daniels, lies after lies after lies, he wrote. In another exchange, he offered this assessment of Trump to someone who maybe was looking for insight into him. Donald is close to no one. He talks to many people. He tells each one someone something different. Now, Aaron, it's going to be, we'll still have to see, are these emails going to change anything politically? But that vote is coming up next week where the House is going to report or vote on releasing the Epstein files. That'll then have to go to the Senate and be signed by the president. So this isn't going away. It's going to stay in the news, and we're going to see if more revelations keep happening.
Yeah, we will. And Garcia making it clear.
Wait, needs to be. So if the president needs to sign off on it, what if he vetoes it? Because he can veto it. Ooh.
They need a veto majority vote, John. They need to have
Oh, yeah, it goes back to Congress, and then there's a 7. They need a 3 and 4 vote. So the supermajority vote.
We're going to go back to the Epstein estate. If for any reason Trump's called for investigation stymies their efforts at the DOJ. K-File, Andrew Kaczynski, thank you so much. LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman just responding to President Trump's demand that he be investigated for his alleged involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Hoffman saying the move was a, quote, obvious ploy to delay release of the Epstein files, writing Trump should release all of the Epstein files, every person and every document in the files. Hoffman wrote in a thread on X, adding later, the call for an investigation is an obvious ploy to avoid releasing the files. Simply release all the files.
Now, one thing is the Supreme Court, which there's a 1 in a billion chance that they would do this, but they can pretty much declare anything constitutional or unconstitutional. They can interpret the Constitution however they want. So they could claim that it goes against the Second Amendment to, put pineapple on pizza. So if they wanted to, they could say, hey, it goes against any amendment for Trump to withhold the Epstein files and not release them. So what if they came out and just decided that, yeah,
People
goes
should
again.
riot nationwide about the Epstein files. We need them released, damn it.
In Minecraft.
satire. This is a
There we go.
satirical podcast show that
Riot
would
on
never incite
Minecraft.
riots or violence of any kind. I think, in truth, as funny as a concept that is, peaceful protests, I don't know how good they would do. I mean, really.
That's what I meant. We should all peacefully protest with big Epstein signs asking where the fuck is the files, damn it. Everywhere. To throw a fit. I want the files.
And expose the people who
I
had
don't
both
care
deep
if
and
it-
ongoing
if it
relationships
exposes
with Epstein.
Gene.
Now, this is very
Hmm.
significant.
Well,
as he
the
does.
Supreme
Trump
Court
earlier today came out and
says-
said that
Just
he
like,
wanted an investigation from his own DOJ into several
Whatever.
individuals, all of whom were Democrats or with deep Democratic
Fake
roots.
news.
Reid Hoffman is the
Fake
founder of
news.
LinkedIn and one of the biggest Democratic donors out there.
I got
Repeatedly
nothing to
said he's
hide.
investigations
I only
into
flew
Hoffman
there
already, along with
twice, and I
George
didn't even
Soros,
know about
Uncle
all
Sam
that
Okay,
Goodman,
Shab, shut up.
Larry Summers and J.P. Morgan, as well as Bill Clinton. In his list, Pam Bondi immediately acquiesced and said she would do the investigation. Kristen Holmes is back with us. But Kristen, you hear Reid Hoffman coming out, posting this online with his response, and Trump now answering questions on the Epstein emails, right? This big treasure trove that came out in the past 24 hours or 48 hours, thousands of pages. His name is in them, all over them. Congressman Garcia just said his name is in them more than anyone else's that Trump mentioned. So what is Trump saying now?
Well, President Trump has been answering questions about all of this, essentially saying
I love it,
he
Skip.
believes that they need to, they being the Department of Justice, uncover all of the different relationships between Epstein and these various individuals. Obviously, Reid Hoffman, one of them, Larry Summers, one of them, one of
Well,
them. I do think we just need to make
I don't know. Trump's kind of gone against a lot of the guardrails that were put in place by Congress after Watergate to try to prevent another Watergate from happening. So the Department of Justice isn't supposed to really get involved too much in White House affairs. Like the White House is, there's not supposed to be close, I guess, association between the Department of Justice and Donald Trump, which is kind of odd because they are technically like a department within the executive branch. So that was something I never really got. But Patel's currently the head of the FBI, and seems like Pam Bondi Do you think they'll actually investigate him?
Probably not.
Yeah, I would say this
He's
is probably worse than Watergate.
I don't know. Like, Watergate was just breaking into your competitors' headquarters, steal some documents. Do you think I don't know, a giant sort of international child sex ring, do you think that's more significant?
I don't know. It doesn't
Yep.
sound
Not
like
a big
that
deal
of a
because Trump did it.
Why are we still
Investigations
talking
have already
about
happened.
this? Why?
Not necessarily just into these individuals, but into Epstein as a whole.
Move on to
And
talking
ties
about
that
how
he
much
had
better
to
I
a
was
lot
than
of people.
Sleepy
And the
Joe.
investigations that actually happened in the Southern District of New York found that they couldn't charge anyone else. And of course, this goes to the whole thing that we have been discussing, which is how can you say that this is a hoax, but then call for an investigation into a hoax? Now, I do want to note one other thing, Aaron, because we have been talking about this extensively. And just a reminder, I asked Carolyn Levitt about this in particular, and she said she'd get back to me, and we never did, which was about this MRI that President Trump said that he had. Now, I know this is a separate topic, but I do think it's really important because we've been covering it so closely, and we've never gotten answers from the White House on this. Essentially, he says that he doesn't know why he got an MRI. He was asked about it again, and then said that it was part of a routine checkup. Well, part of the reason that we've...
Why do you think he got an MRI? Do you think he was having
Because
seizure
he's very
activity?
healthy.
Check to make sure all his gray matter is there.
I think it's because he's so healthy. They're trying to study him and figure out how someone is so healthy. You know,
He just
for
has
science.
accomplished reverse cognitive decline.
Yeah.
been pushing for answers on this MRI because an MRI is not part of a routine checkup in general. And so now he's saying it was part of that kind of routine checkup, and he doesn't know why he got it. But again, this doesn't really give us the answers that we have been asking for when it comes to President Trump's health. And just a reminder, and President Trump himself said ask the doctors. Of course, we've reached out to doctors. They're not going to answer us. They haven't. But then on top of that, he said he wanted to be transparent, but we still don't have any of these answers here in terms of his health.
Well, I think those are really important things, and I'm glad you brought it up, Kristen, because obviously, it also defies belief to think that you wouldn't know the reason you got an MRI if you went in and got one. Kristen, thank you.
Dude. So, I don't know. His dementia's gotten so bad, he doesn't even know why he was getting the MRI to begin with.
We begin with President Trump directing the Justice Department to investigate high-profile Democrats and major financial institutions for alleged ties to Epstein. It comes ahead of next week's vote on Capitol Hill that could force the Justice Department to release files from its investigation of Epstein. CBS News Justice correspondent Scott McFarland is following the latest.
This week began with the Trump administration dogged by this Jeffrey Epstein controversy. The week's going to end with the Trump administration still dogged by this Epstein controversy. On Friday.
I don't know. What did you think of the dialogue there?
Republican Congresswoman
seemed a bit too redundant.
Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia told CBS News she thinks the president, the White House are making a miscalculation by not supporting the full release of the Epstein case files by the U.S. Department of Justice. The U.S. House is going to vote on a measure that would require such a release next week. Congresswoman Greene and some other Republicans are joining Democrats in getting that passed. It could apply pressure on the Senate, could apply pressure on the White House even to support that ultimately. What's more, on Friday, the president sent some social media posts saying this Epstein controversy is, in his words, a Democratic hoax perpetuated by Democrats. Republicans shouldn't fall for it. He also asked the Department of Justice to investigate Epstein's...
That's a conspiracy. It's all like something that's been devised by the Clintons.
Connections to some Democratic politicians, which U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said she would initiate. But the bottom line there is in July, the Department of Justice issued a memo saying it's already found no third parties with criminal culpability. But then
I like how one of his big campaign promises was to release the Epstein files.
Yeah.
And then he also used that against Hillary Clinton when he ran against her. And he kept using it as like some kind of poisoning the well technique against the Democrats. I am hearing myself through Shep's mic. And of course, he gets up and walks away.
Yeah. Well.
Oh my God, Shep. I'm going to have to yell at him when he gets back.
It's such a weird image to look at, too. Like the dancing Trump behind the green screen with... Like, what the hell is this on my screen?
Where Aaron Navarro joins us now. Aaron, what is the White
Chad
House
can't even set up proper green screen. He's that worthless and incompetent.
It looks fine when he's sitting there.
A vote is to release the rest of the Epstein files is expected next week.
Yeah, they pointed us back to President Trump's comments, who has really led the way here in making that announcement, not only of former Democratic President Bill Clinton and his Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, but as well as current Democratic megadonor Reid Hoffman, which is notable given that Trump has also called for investigations into George Soros, another notable Democratic megadonor. What's also notable here is that pending anything he says this weekend during his trip to Florida, we have not actually heard President Trump on camera yet address the Epstein files that were released this week. But generally, it shows that he wants to shift the narrative on this and refocus attention on the story to Democrats with ties to Epstein ahead of this expected vote to release more files next week.
What has the response been to Republican lawmakers joining with Democrats to advance the release of those files?
Yeah, he's had some choice words, calling that Republicans who he believes is elevating the Epstein story, quote, foolish, soft, and weak. We know that White House officials met earlier this week with Lauren Boebert, one of those Republican Congress members who supported the measure to force a full vote on releasing those files. We heard from Congresswoman Nancy Mace that she played phone tag with President Trump as it was reported that he was trying to get them to change their minds. Both kept their support for this measure. House Speaker Mike Johnson said this vote is expected to happen.
Now, I've always wondered, so the little video, like the few seconds of video they cut out from Epstein's suicide, what if it was revealed that Trump was the one just putting a pillow over Epstein's head?
Nah, that's what you don't get, man. Trump opened the door, let him out, and he said, "Come on, buddy, we're going back to the island." Now it's just back to business, dude. He never died.
We will see in the coming days through Truth Social and interviews the president has done today in print and on video if the president himself will look to apply more pressure on Republicans in Congress publicly.
Aaron Navarro.
I will say this. I want to say this. The Democrats may have completely turned tail and capitulated to everything the Republicans asked for without giving a single concession to get the government shut down to end. But they did say as soon as the shutdown was over that they were going to grill them with the Epstein files, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they need to jump to plane too. But, Dirt, I want you to go back and look at how many minutes Shab's been away from a keyboard. So when he gets back, we can really grill him over it.
Yeah.
With the government now back on, lawmakers in the House are turning their attention to the Epstein files. Hello, I'm Amy John, tracking the latest headlines. Democrats and House Oversight Committee released new documents from the estate of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. They mentioned
you could mute him on your end.
The president has called it a hoax.
Or I guess he's running the stream, so I don't know what it sounds
like.
Well,
yeah, we're still going to hear him through the... That motherfucker.
Justice to look into other Epstein ties, including some high-profile Democrats. And in the coming days, the House is expected to vote on whether to release all the case files. We'll dive into all of that today. Let's start with those new documents. It's 20,000 pages that include email exchanges where Epstein mentions high-profile figures by name, including Trump. Jennifer Bellamy has the details. The emails that began almost...
Well, who are some of the other people you know have been on the Epstein list?
There's a lot of people that have been named.
Was it Prince? Which Prince was it? There was a Prince. Andrew?
Yeah. There's been a lot of people that just got named in it, and then nothing really came of it. They didn't really.
Prince Andrew.
Go ahead.
He's the only one, as far as I know, that really got shit for it.
15 years ago were obtained by the GOP-led
now,
after it subpoenaed Epstein.
Didn't the Bushes also have ties with like the Epstein island? I thought it was the Clintons and the Bushes.
I guess he had that painting of Bill Clinton, right? I mean, I don't know.
Oh. How long?
Picture.
How long was Shab gone?
Oh, like 4 minutes.
So Shab, what were you doing? Wait, I gotta unmute him.
Why would you mute me?
Because we were hearing our audio through your microphone. Yeah.
Well, that's a first.
That's a first.
Must have put it too close to the mic.
So,
wait, no, it's not a first.
Why? So why'd you get?
Time.
Well, Shab, why'd you get up? What were you doing?
I don't know, but to be quite honest.
Well, why'd you get up, Shab?
I don't know.
What was your reason? Did you have to use the restroom?
I don't
Shab,
know.
why are you the only streamer who gets up and walks away every 10 minutes for an extended period of time? Why doesn't Dirt or Zidane do the same thing?
I'm the only person that ever got up for
I've seen a lot of streamers do
Do
shit
you
like
think
that.
Shab
but, you know.
is I don't know, lacking self-accountability when it comes to acting like there's nothing unique with his behavior?
Oh, come on.
I
John.
think that whenever someone makes a poop joke or talks about South Park too much, it's like, whoa, you're diverting from the show. But then when I leave for a couple of minutes, let's spend like 5-10 minutes talking about it.
Because you do it a
diverting the
lot.
show. But nothing of what I did took us off course. Everything you're doing now.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did, because we were hearing ourselves
Okay,
through
that
the
was
microphone.
how much times does that ever happen? That's why I
Well,
said
there's
that
lots
was
of times where something goes wrong and you're AFK, and you're the one operating OBS, so then you're not there. So it's happened quite a few times.
Okay, I won't leave anymore. I'll piss in a fucking
Oh God,
bottle.
Shab's acting like some disgruntled adolescent,
It goes
like
against
sort of
everything
child.
that you say. Every time anybody makes a poop joke or talks about a subject that's like,
And see, he's deflecting. He's deflecting.
That's what I'm saying. You're making it
not
some big
that-
thing. All it is Shab
Yeah.
left his headphones too close to the mic. You grill him, it's done. All right.
Not that I could get up less often. It's just or make sure things are in check before I get up and walk away. It's like, oh no, either I can't get up at all,
maybe
or
correct the issue so it doesn't happen again. Okay, I will just mute myself. There you go. I'll mute myself completely.
I don't know. Do you think Shab has a problem with accepting criticism?
Oh well,
I don't know.
You gave him some.
We can
shit,
just
John.
move
I mean,
on.
come on.
From the
Poor
Assembly Oversight
Shadisky.
Committee in September. President Trump has referred to the saga as the Jeffrey Epstein hoax and has consistently denied any wrongdoing.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong.
Maybe correct the issues so it doesn't keep happening. That's what
Yeah,
they'll
Shab
said.
just read that.
And
Shab
what
just
President
read
Trump
that.
also
Muted
said is that
himself in
he was from
response.
Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep.
In one 2019 email exchange to author Michael Wolff, Epstein appeared to reference that incident, writing, quote, "Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Elaine to stop." There is a separate effort from a bipartisan pair of lawmakers calling for the Justice Department to release all case files. They now have the signatures needed to force a vote in the House. The emails released start with messages Epstein sent and received around the time that he finished serving his Florida sentence in 2009. They continue for a decade until the months before his arrest on federal sex trafficking charges in 2019. The messages were sent from Epstein to his longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell and author Michael Wolff. They offered a glimpse into what Epstein's relationships with business executives, reporters, academics, and political players looked like. Trump didn't send or receive any of the messages and is not accused of wrongdoing. The Department of Justice says prosecutors in New York will lead a federal investigation into Epstein's ties to high-profile figures. The announcement from Attorney General Pam Bondi came just hours after the president publicly called on her to do so. He posted this on his Truth Social platform, noting several names he wants the DOJ to look into. They include some of his perceived political opponents, such as former President Bill Clinton, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, and billionaire tech investor Reid Hoffman. Trump also mentioned J.P. Morgan Chase. The president's directive is his most notable so far to try to discredit a bipartisan push to release all of the Epstein case files. Representative Adelita Grijalva signed a discharge petition that triggered the House vote to release those files. Her signature was the 218th, the last one needed to reach a majority and force the vote. She was sworn into office on Wednesday, more than 7 weeks after she won a special election in Arizona. She and other Democrats say that delay was intended to prevent her signature on the petition.
Now, wasn't like Larry Ellison like the CEO of like Oracle? Wasn't he like on the Epstein list?
I have no idea. I don't know.
That one I
Her
don't
authority
know.
obstructed my swearing in by canceling vote after vote. And the Epstein files discharge petition sat one signature short. With my
Has been
signing,
linked to
we move
Jeffrey
one step
Epstein
closer to the
primarily
truth, the
through
truth
their
that they will
mutual
try to deny,
association with J.P. Morgan Chase, an Israeli former Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Though there is no evidence that Ellison was involved in Epstein's trafficking crimes.
Survivors deserve their day of justice, and the American
There's
people.
other bullet points, but
Senator Johnson has
that's the
pushed
gist
back
of
on
it.
Is Mike Johnson on the Epstein list?
claims that he
Well,
obstructed the Epstein files vote.
since I already got Google pulled up.
Bring the bill to the House floor in the coming days earlier than expected. The decision to move forward quickly with the vote marks a change in strategy for the House Speaker and for the White House. A senior White House official says there's now an understanding that the vote on this is a, quote, inevitable reality. Correspondent Julia Benbrook is at the White House with details.
According to a senior White House official, President Donald Trump was made aware ahead of time that House Speaker Mike Johnson was going to expedite a vote on the release of DOJ files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and that the two have spoken about it. Now, the push on Capitol Hill...
That is true, Royal Empire. Tom Hanks was also connected to Epstein.
...has been led by a bipartisan pair of lawmakers in the House. Democrat Ro Khanna...
Now, is Tim Allen on the Epstein list?
And
Well,
Republican Thomas
here's the thing.
Just look people up and find out if
Well, I
they're
know
on the
Tim
Epstein
Allen
list.
and Tom Hanks, they hate each other. Tom Hanks is known for being
gonna turn out
pretty
they were-
left-leaning, and Tim Allen's known for being very right-leaning, so maybe they could... You know, people are going to probably sit there.
They were like ass fucking each other on the island all along.
Dude, Woody was engaged in the foul play, and Buzz, like, I guess they're the altruistic space ranger in this case.
A handful of Republicans signed on to their petition to force the vote. House GOP leaders are bracing for a significant number of Republicans to support the bill when it comes to the floor.
I think when it's actually a vote on the House floor, do you want these files released? Republicans and Democrats are going to vote yes.
Tim Allen was
It's gonna be
not
a privilege for
named.
Republicans. The longer this goes on, the more support we gain. And I think the Speaker recognized that. And that's why
Right, Tim Allen wasn't cool enough to be invited.
Tim Allen would be involved in all, like, the sex play, the orgies, and he's just doing his signature Tim Allen grunt the entire time.
Oh my God.
trying to stop us, he's decided to accelerate the vote because he knows we're going to get votes, and that's going to carry
And then the Tim the Toolman Taylor.
In the House, its future remains uncertain in the Senate. Trump continues to put pressure on members of his party to focus elsewhere. In a Friday post, he called those who support the effort, quote, weak and foolish. At the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
Colorado Republican Lauren Boebert was one of the 4 Republicans who signed off on that petition. She opted to keep her name on it, even after being called into the White House Situation Room. The White House confirmed she was there, but insists the meeting was in the name of transparency.
Do you think she's a giant cunt?
The real
I know that's not
questions.
the most constructive commentary.
Especially right now, John. I think
But-
I think this is a pretty cool thing for her to do. Is
Yeah.
Look, I'm telling you, any person who may have fallen into the
Her
boat
approval
of
rating's
bad
definitely gone up a bit now.
Not
I
so
don't-
worried about the hand job thing now, are you, America?
I won't talk shit to any Trumper who is gonna wake up and stop drinking the Kool-Aid, dude. Good for them. And I hope she's maybe got a little more sense. I don't know. Has she done it? Boebert, I mean, I know like her name's come up in negative connotation, but I can't think of what it is. Why
Well,
do people like her?
She's been a giant, like, cunt in public and shown extreme entitlement. So she went to, like, the Beetlejuice musical and was vaping and being loud. And she was doing the Karen of, do you know who I am? And she's been, called in public, like, doing shit like that on numerous occasions.
Rather than a last-minute push to pressure her to remove her signature. Boebert also told CNN the White House wasn't pushing her.
The president never asked me to take my name off of the discharge petition.
But he was raising concerns about you taking that position?
The president is not...
And someone's mentioning, like, the Clintons, and it's like, yeah, if they're guilty, lock them up. I don't give a fuck who it is. I'm not denying that any of them could be guilty of foul play. I mean, the last handful of presidents, I think, have been terrible. Fuck Trump, fuck Biden, fuck the Bushes, fuck the Clintons, and Obama. All of them suck.
Me to do anything.
She is the one that jerked someone off in the movie
asked, by
theater.
the president to remove my name. Every conversation that I had was welcomed and very civil. And it's okay
That's
for-
her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was her.
Do you think she's on the Epstein list and she doesn't know it? Might backfire.
discussions about things that are going on with our nation.
The other 3 Republicans
Showed up with, like, a different alias, and it's like, oh crap, I got drunk and wrote down my actual name.
who signed the petition include Representative Thomas Massie of Kentucky, who helped introduce it, along with Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia and Nancy Mace of South Carolina. If everyone who signed the petition supports it on the floor vote, it'll pass. The tougher test will come in the Senate, where Republicans hold a 53-47 majority. It would likely take 60 votes to pass. If it passes the Senate, it would go to Trump and require his signature. Some of the women who have accused Epstein have been speaking out, asking for lawmakers to vote to release the files.
The American people want transparency here. Survivors are very clear about needing and wanting transparency. This is not just about, a compelling story or, intrigue, right? This is actually about survivors getting puzzle pieces to understand the question of why were these people allowed to harm so many children and young women for so long and change the trajectories of so many people's lives. We need this.
Because a lot of rich people are psychopaths and they have lots of money, so they're able to get away with a lot of stuff. So yeah, that's one of the benefits of having lots of money. You can do fucked up shit. And then you can engage in things like bribery.
Information released. We need the government to release everything that's in these files. Of course,
it's not a crime if you have enough money in your bank account while doing it.
Protect the privacy of the survivors, but we really need this information to be out there so these crimes can be investigated. I think it's really upsetting to us that this is so politicized when it's not a political issue. This was a crime, and it's a crime of sex trafficking, and we really just want to see justice for the crime that happened to us.
Epstein killed himself in a Manhattan jail while awaiting trial in 2019 on charges that said he sexually abused and trafficked dozens of...
Sure.
I mean, she looks pretty old. Like, how long ago did the abuse happen? Don't you think it's time to get over it? Okay. That's pretty bad. I'm just joking. I know. Well, anybody, but there are people that will use that to gaslight victims of abuse. It's in the past, so just get over it.
Those people, what we call absolute scumbags.
Yeah.
Of underage girls. We've got more coverage coming up after the break. President Trump's history with Jeffrey Epstein has come back into the spotlight after emails released mentioned the president by name multiple times. CNN's Randy Kaye looks back at their relationship over the years.
Are you still
Maybe that was a different Donald Trump.
talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. Are people still talking about this guy?
My evil twin brother.
Dude, again, he was really obsessed with it, and he loved using it as ammo against the Clintons. And now it's just, why do people even care about this? Why are people obsessed? So it's so transparent how, just two-faced he's being. He's not subtle at all. He's not good at, I don't know, covering his tracks. So, the people who want to be sycophants for Trump, it's just, they're honestly not able to just look at footage from his first campaign, where he did nothing but, obsess over it, and then look at just this major shift in tone.
If you're a right-leaning person, how do you not just view this as the Republican Party being taken over by just pure fucking evil, and just using, your party for, as long as you hide behind the team sports mentality of it, you can always just make it, well, at least I'm not as bad as this person or that person. And it's like, how is it? It's pretty hard to be worse than, I don't know which word I can say. Yeah, which terms
serial
we can
PDF
say without
files.
it. Serial
human trafficking PDF files.
Also, look at his face here. I didn't really pay attention to it. He just kind of looks like he doesn't know where he is. Like he's just imagining himself somewhere else.
He's very suave.
He's imagining himself still on the island.
He's got the ultimate charisma. He's really able to just persuade anybody that he is clearly innocent of all crimes. He's the ultimate liar.
A very different opinion of Jeffrey Epstein.
Nobody lies better than Trump, says Trump.
He once shared publicly.
I guess he doesn't say that.
Long before he became president, Trump told New York Magazine he'd known Jeffrey Epstein for 15 years and called him a terrific guy. He's a
fake news. Say the deep state, the left, reptilians, they created these articles.
lot of fun to
They
be
never
honest.
actually
He said that
existed.
He likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side, Trump told the magazine. Over the years, the two have been spotted many times in public together. This NBC video shows Trump and Epstein socializing in 1992 at a party at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate.
Hey, it's non-fat fuck Trump.
The video, released in 2019, shows Trump appearing to say to Epstein, "Look at her back there. She's hot," while Epstein smiles and nods. Former swimsuit model Stacey Williams,
Yeah, grab him by the pussy.
who dated Epstein in 1993, told CNN in an interview Trump was Epstein's wingman.
They were best friends. They were very close.
The two men flew together as well. These flight logs show Trump traveled on Epstein's jet 4 times in 1993, twice in 1994, and once in 1995 and in 1997.
Those images, do you think they're AI? Photoshopped? It's a conspiracy.
Absolutely. In this day and age,
The logs were made public.
Make anything.
During Ghislaine Maxwell's 2021 trial, where she was convicted of sex trafficking,
Can't believe
among other
anything you
things.
see on TV, dude.
Epstein also attended Trump's wedding to Marla Maples at New York's Plaza Hotel in 1993. In
He just showed up and uninvited.
1997, Trump added this personal note to Epstein inside a copy of his book, The Art of the Comeback. It reads, "To Jeff, you are the greatest," according to the New York Times. That same year, the two men were photographed
Yeah, I thought Trump was the greatest.
together at Mar-a-Lago.
Make up your mind, Trump.
This exclusive CNN video shows Epstein and Trump
Son of a
chatting in
bitch.
1999 before a Victoria's Secret fashion show. Despite all of that, during a court deposition here in Palm Beach in 2010, Epstein refused to answer many questions about his association with Trump. And Trump has continued to try and distance himself from Epstein as recently as July. This was the story he told about kicking Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago.
He took people that work for me, and I told him don't do it anymore, and he did it, and I said, stay the hell out of here.
More recently, Trump had to answer about a letter bearing his name found in a birthday book created by Ghislaine Maxwell for Epstein's 50th birthday.
Falling out.
The letter, according to the Wall Street Journal, contained the outline of a naked woman and a message, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Trump denied authoring the letter and sued the Journal for defamation.
Do you think that's a rightful lawsuit? Do you think it's defamation?
They're defaming our great president, our great leader.
I don't know. I think there's like a decrypted message or encrypted message.
My signature, and it's not the way I speak. And anybody that's covered me for a long time knows that's not my language.
Randy Kay, CNN, Palm Beach County, Florida.
A statue of President Trump and Epstein has popped back up in the nation's capital. It's outside a shop called the Busboys and Poets in Northwest D.C.
He needs to sue them.
Go take a picture with it,
Popped up
John.
a few times over the last several months, most recently on the National Mall. It shows Epstein and the president holding hands and skipping. Its reappearance is getting mixed reaction.
And I think it's an absolutely fabulous tribute to our existing president. It says what needs to be said. It gives a tribute to a city that knows how to make a good statement.
The shop issued a statement saying the statue is a form of political satire and free speech meant to spark conversation.
I don't know. Do you think it's slander? Should Trump sue? He loves suing people.
It's a celebration of his friendship with a powerful individual. You know, I don't see it. Trump should love a statue of himself. I don't get it. I bet part of him really does. I bet there's part of him looks at it as like, in another world, Jeffrey.
The Epstein files. Many in the presidency
Maybe one day we can be one again.
party are calling for their release. ABC's Selena Wang leads us off tonight.
Last week's release by the House Oversight Committee of thousands of documents subpoenaed from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, raising new questions about the convicted sex offender's relationship with President Trump.
Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years.
The president now calling for an investigation into Democrats, ordering his Attorney General Pam Bondi and the FBI to investigate Epstein, but only his relationship with prominent Democrats. Bondi appointing U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton, saying the department will pursue this with urgency and intent.
What if it turns out that the thing that happened was he just had a gay relationship behind Melania's back with Epstein, and they were in some nefarious codependent relationship?
Integrity. Some Republicans pushing back on the president's move.
And the president's been saying this.
Yeah, well, so now his wife is pissed and she has to keep a poker face for the cameras.
It's going to be
I do like this idea.
Lewinsky kind of scenario.
Investigate a hoax if it's a hoax.
The president so far refusing to release the full FBI files on Epstein. Now a bipartisan group of lawmakers are trying to force him to do just that. A House vote on the matter expected sometime this week.
I think we could have a deluge of Republicans. I'm hoping to get a veto-proof majority.
Democratic Senator Chris Murphy says he believes the president wouldn't be trying to block the release of the files unless he was seriously implicated in them. The president has denied any wrongdoing and has not been charged nor investigated.
This is most likely the biggest corruption scandal in the history of the country.
Former Trump ally Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene now locked in a growing battle with the president. She's among the Republicans calling for the release of the files, telling CNN,
"Don't believe that rich power."
Dude, I like how the thing that got Clinton impeached was just lying under oath over some one night affair he had. So watch it just being a repeat again. Just he's doing all this just to cover up for some affair. He didn't even do anything illegal.
Powerful people should be protected if they have done anything wrong. I will continue to do my small part.
All the illegal shit that he has done openly in public.
No, he was pardoned. I mean, come on.
Oh,
that was an unfair trial. It was the deep state, liberal reptilians that were going after.
Yeah, but I was just brainwashed by that deep state.
Yep.
Washington.
Ghislaine Maxwell, in her own words, describing life in her new prison home.
I feel like I have dropped through Alice in Wonderland's looking glass, she writes, a federal prison camp Bryan, according to emails she sent to friends and family, reviewed by NBC News. I am much, much happier here, she writes. Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence for recruiting minors to be sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein. The emails obtained by the House Judiciary Committee investigating allegations of special treatment, written by Maxwell after an abrupt and unusual transfer from a low-security facility in Florida to this all-women's camp in Texas, typically reserved for white-collar criminals. The move came amid backlash over the DOJ and FBI announcement in July that
I know a lot of cartels and criminal organizations that are in charge of human trafficking. That's one of the things they'll do is they have scouts that go out, look for vulnerable people. Sometimes they'll look for teenagers, and they try to find a way to convince them to get on a plane. Hey, we have a really cool job for you, or hey, we want to get you tickets to a hotel. So a lot of human trafficking, illegal sort of corporations, or I guess they tend to use that sort of tactic. So it seems like Epstein had things figured out.
Found no incriminating client.
Somebody clip that.
Soon
Somebody
after,
clip
Maxwell
that.
met with Deputy Attorney General Todd Lynch.
Did you know? Stop giving people ideas.
You know I don't have to give people those
Days
ideas.
later, she was transferred and writing emails gushing over her improved conditions. The food is legions better. The place is clean. The staff responsive and polite, she wrote. Saying in another, you are not allowed to steal, beat people up, and attack them with homemade weapons. The Justice Department, which oversees federal prisons, declined to comment. Maxwell's attorney saying in a statement, it's time to get over the fact that she's in a safer facility. We should want that for everyone. The family of abuse survivor Virginia.
What a great comment. Gene, we have to read this out loud. Look up Epstein new house makes you think about die or alive.
Epstein, dude.
We strongly reject the notion.
I don't know. What's die or alive?
Die or alive.
Is he die or is he alive? What do you think?
Epstein didn't die himself.
He's in some Nazi bunker in Argentina.
That a convicted child sex trafficker should reside in a residential neighborhood shielded by fences instead of bars. Priscilla Thompson, NBC News.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC.
Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin's demanding answers after he says a whistleblower reported Ghislaine Maxwell is receiving preferential treatment in prison. Maxwell serving a 20-year sentence for child sex trafficking and other crimes in connection with Jeffrey Epstein. The Bureau of Prisons transferred her to a minimum security prison after she met with the Deputy Attorney General. Now, according to Raskin, the whistleblower says she's getting what seems like concierge service. And Raskin's accusing the Trump administration of a corrupt misuse of law enforcement resources. ABC News Justice reporter Alex Mallon has the details. So, Alex,
Well, that's why you need connections when you go to prison. I mean, if you go to prison, try to go to rich person, white collar federal prison. I mean, haven't you seen Goodfellas?
Have we
Going to prison
covered?
ain't that bad.
Yeah,
What's that?
yeah, when they're just hanging out and playing poker the whole time.
But I was gonna say, have we covered this yet? Because I've been paying attention
Yeah.
to this story. Because she's just getting. Basically, I've heard people are getting turned away and fired and sent to maximum security prisons for complaining about her good treatment. Or I forget what it was exactly, but it's something to do with it.
Do you think that's fake news? Probably got that from a liberal source.
what kind of privileges is Maxwell allegedly getting here?
By a failure to extend the
Doesn't fit the narrative that Trump's innocent, therefore automatically fake reptilian news.
CARE Act tax credit.
His top flight luxury service. He refers to various accounts from a whistleblower he says that has contacted him from within the FCP Bryan facility in Texas, where Ghislaine Maxwell was moved in July following her interview with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. And some of the, it's basically bullet point format of the allegations of the treatment that she's receiving extends to personal favors essentially handed by that warden in order for her to meet with her legal counsel, other visitors. There's another allegation that she was granted access to puppies who become service dogs that are provided to people at that facility. Another where she is allegedly granted special access to workout facilities and after hours so she won't have to interact with other inmates, and that she's receiving special deliveries of tailored meals to her cell, directly to her cell, from people. They've said that they've heard from at least one correctional officer.
Being sequestered from all the different prison gangs. Maybe like the Shank sisters or something.
within the facility in FCP Bryan that basically says like they are shocked by the fact that she seems to be receiving such preferential treatment. You know, we've reached out to the Bureau of Prisons for comment. We've also reached out to that facility in Texas. The Justice Department has, you know, more broadly just denied that Ghislaine Maxwell is receiving any kind of preferential treatment. And in a statement, the White House said today, when asked about whether the president is reconsidering, you know, granting her any kind of clemency for her crimes that she was convicted of, they just said that, as he has said, the president has.
What do you think? It's all a conspiracy that she's receiving like preferential treatment?
No.
Yeah.
No, she deserves the preferential treatment for sure.
I mean,
She deserves the puppies.
were you there? Were you in prison with her? I mean, how do you know? You haven't actually walked into the prison and witnessed things for yourself. So, yeah, you're just an idiot believing whatever the media tells you.
Said that he is not.
Because I, somebody who goes out of my way to defend Trump, I always fly out across the globe, across the country, to visit every single location firsthand, because I don't just believe stuff that I read in some article or read in some book.
Currently considering any sort of pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell at this stage.
Now, this all comes from a letter Raskin sent to President Trump, and in it, he says the whistleblower also says Maxwell is preparing a commutation application. What are you watching for next?
Well, in this letter, Raskin is asking President Trump to make available his Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who did sit for that extensive interview with Maxwell in July that the Justice Department later did release a transcript of. And, you know, it really still begs the question. We have not heard from Deputy Attorney General Blanche about whether he found any of Maxwell's denials about her conduct and her knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's misconduct with young girls, and whether that he took those at face value and he believes Ghislaine Maxwell that she is innocent. We have not heard from the Justice Department. We've not heard from the White House whether they accept her denials of the crimes that she's been convicted of.
Justice reporter Alex Malin, we appreciate it. Alex, thank you.
Question. Which one do you prefer, lewd and lascivious conduct or procuring minors for prostitution? I suppose lewd and lascivious conduct. I would prefer lewd and lascivious conduct with a prostitute if possible. That exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell on May 23, 2008 is part of some 18,000 emails from Epstein's personal Yahoo account obtained by Bloomberg News. The emails, which suggest the inbox was most active between 2005 and 2008, include messages spanning 2002 to 2022. Epstein died in 2019, and emails received after that are largely spam or marketing offers. Overall, the emails offer a raw look into the disgraced financier and sex offender's world. While this inbox wasn't the only one he used, the newly uncovered emails do suggest how central Maxwell was to his life, something that contradicts her telling of events. She's characterized herself as a former girlfriend and property manager for Epstein, not someone with eyes into his vast influence machine or sex trafficking operation.
You have like a polyamorous relationship.
She's currently serving a 20-year sentence
that's what
for
you
conspiring
need.
with Epstein to
Yeah, he was fucking all of his scouts.
sexually abuse minors. Maxwell was central to curating Epstein's inner circle, according to these emails. In some emails, she's organizing visits with the likes of Sergey Brin and his then-girlfriend Anne Wojcicki. Sergey and Anne arrive tomorrow at Guana and stay till 2nd. Be very nice to her, not stupid. She is interested in mapping DNA, etc. She is key. Although the inbox contains no messages confirming Anne was on the island, Epstein wrote to an assistant just days later that he was there with Brin. Notably, Maxwell also oversaw some of Epstein's gift giving. In the emails, we discovered a spreadsheet of gifts and payments, some lavish, like $60,000 diamond ear clips and a necklace, a $47,000 Steinway piano, and a
Look, he knows how to treat a lady.
$71,000 car, as he curried favor with our elite and powerful. The ledger doesn't make clear whether the gifts were accepted by their intended recipients. And all this was happening at a time when Maxwell has said she wasn't in regular contact with Epstein. These emails cut through the image of a scapegoat and simple house manager that Maxwell has worked tirelessly to present. And while they're not the definitive record of Epstein's story, they open a rare window into his life and social circle. A network Maxwell not only moved within, but helped build and defend.
Now to a live look at the White House, where President Trump says he is no longer supporting a once loyal ally, Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. This comes as the push for the Justice Department to release all Jeffrey Epstein files intensifies. CBS News correspondent Willie James Inman.
Dude, look at all these rhinos. If they were true Republicans, they wouldn't be turning against their president.
As the latest.
President Trump says he will no longer support Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling the Congresswoman.
See, this is why women shouldn't be allowed to serve in politics. They just can't keep up their or make up their minds.
And from Georgia, who had once been his staunch supporter, wacky. In a social media post on Friday night, the president took aim at Greene and said all she does is complain, complain, complain.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is not anyway. I mean, she is a very different thinking than I have. Something happened to her over the last period of a month or two where she changed, I think, politically. I think that her constituents aren't going to be happy.
The president's negative comments about Green come as she continues to push for the Justice Department to release all files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
So these women have been waiting, some of them for decades. I talked to several victims that were raped by Jeffrey Epstein back in the 90s. And so this is information that has needed to come out for a very long time, and the American people have demanded it.
House Speaker Mike Johnson said Wednesday that a bill that calls for the release of all the Justice Department's Jeffrey Epstein case files will be put to a vote next week. Meanwhile, a number of...
Now, as Mike Johnson said, that he is going to support the vote or vote yay versus nay.
Now, another thing,
the record-breaking government shutdown are being lifted.
Another thing, though, is do you guys think that Marjorie Taylor Greene knew all that stuff as she supported Trump all these years?
The
information certainly was just downloaded to her brain as soon as her relationship with him was strained.
I mean, it could have been that that was something where out of all the shit surrounding Trump, she probably just didn't pay close attention to, where she was aware of it, but she never took the time to really look into it.
Began rolling back mandated cuts to flights throughout the country. Museums in the nation's capital and the National Zoo also began reopening this weekend. And SNAP food
thank God the zoo's opening.
Assistance that have been put on hold for the month of November because of the shutdown are expected to be released in the next week. Willie James Inman, CBS News.
The most crucial thing.
West Palm Beach, Florida.
A critical moment on Capitol Hill this week for lawmakers. The House is expected to vote on releasing the Epstein files. Meanwhile, the feud between President Trump and one of his strongest supporters in Congress is escalating. Senior White House correspondent Lena Wang has the latest.
President Trump escalating his fight with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene as she pushes for the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. The Georgia Republican, who is once one of Trump's most loyal allies, now says the president's attacks are putting her life in danger, posting in part, "A hotbed of threats against me are being fueled and egged on by the most powerful man in the world. His aggression against me is completely shocking to everyone." In a string of posts on social media over the weekend, the president writing, "I'm withdrawing my support and endorsement of Greene," claiming she betrayed the entire Republican Party, calling her a ranting lunatic and a traitor. Greene in part responding, "He's coming after me."
God, how dare she call somebody out who engaged in some mass, PDF file sort of conspiracy.
Hard to make an example to scare all the other Republicans before next week's vote to release the Epstein files. She's one of 4 Republicans who joined Democrats to sign a petition.
I don't know. Do you think this kind of shows it supports my previous sort of argument? That when you let the other sex into the House, into the White House or Congress, it's just can't keep up their minds.
Yep.
Clearly, they're not principled like all the men.
Petition that forced the House to.
There was a man who wrote a song about this named John LaJoie. Anybody who knows what I'm talking about needs to hear nothing further.
Vote to demand the release of the full files on the convicted sex offender.
It seems like very rich and powerful men are being protected.
This weekend's public blow-up comes after months of tension. Greene recently criticized the president over his focus on foreign.
My question, why would there be a list? Wouldn't these rich people want to cover up their tracks? Why would they let there be evidence of them being at that island? I don't think it's just some random bullet point list. I think when the FBI was investigating it, and they were also arresting and charging Epstein in the investigation, there's persons of interest, and it's all in that FBI document. So it's the FBI that compiled the list. So it's not like all the rich people are like, hey, let's make a list of who's at the island.
Affairs rather than domestic issues, opposed his administration's bailout of Argentina's economy and blasted Republican leadership during the government shutdown. But Greene says Trump turned on her over the Epstein files.
All right, Selena Wang joins us now, so let's stay on the Epstein files. What are we hearing from lawmakers in the White House ahead of this vote this week?
Yeah, look, Speaker Johnson went to great lengths to try and postpone this vote, but now they have enough votes with that discharge petition to force them to hold this vote. So Speaker Johnson wants to just get this out of the way. That's why they're expected to hold this vote next week. He does not want this hanging over their heads into Thanksgiving. Now, President Trump, for his part, he's also been going to great lengths to try and stop this from happening. Ahead of that final vote to force this to happen, the White House had a meeting in the Situation Room with top Justice Department officials and White House officials with Congresswoman Lauren Boebert to try and convince her to remove her name from that petition
It did not work. But Perry, it shows just how far the White House is willing to go to try and make this go away. But this vote is expected to happen next week. And GOP co-sponsor of the bill, Thomas Massie, a Republican.
So what do you think we're going to see? Do you think it's actually the bill's going to pass?
I would hope so. I think that'd be pretty neat. Now Trump is talking about, yeah, fuck it, just vote yes, release it. Now, if he does, I'm a little partially worried that he'll just drop another nothing burger. Maybe, or who knows, maybe he'll actually
That's what
drop
I was
some
gonna
damning-
say.
He'll probably drop damning evidence on other people and just leave the shit about him out of it.
Well, what if it's like, oh, I lost it. Oopsie. It just disappears from
My
any
dog
sort of
ate it.
database. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if that actually happened, if it miraculously is just wiped from any sort of physical or digital database, and then he uses his like executive powers, his pardoning ability to just put a halt to any sort of investigation whatsoever, and then the sycophants will just turn their brains off and engage in cognitive dissonance. So I don't know. Do you think that might happen?
Probably.
We'll see, dude.
Congressman, he expects there to be some major defections. A significant number of Republicans he expects to break with the president and to vote to release those files. But again, even if it passes the House, it still needs to go through the Senate. Unclear what happens there. And President Trump, of course, is very unlikely to sign on. But regardless, this could send a very powerful message to the president.
It will be fascinating to watch. And what's the latest in this war of words between President Trump and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Yeah, what's really striking here is that Greene used to be one of the president's most loyal supporters in Congress. But we have seen this simmering tension over recent months.
Next vid.
Less than 2 days after President Trump called Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene a traitor, the Georgia Congresswoman says she remains loyal to the president, but she still wants the Justice Department to release all case files related to Jeffrey Epstein. And CBS's Willie James Inman shows us lawmakers from both sides of the aisle are pushing for that.
Days after President Trump announced he is
She's doing the Musk salute,
withdrawing his support for Republican.
Yeah,
right.
Green,
unfortunate, dude.
We used to call that the Pantera salute in metal circles. Metalheads will
She still
know.
supports the president.
And I do support him and his administration.
Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, Greene said she remains loyal to the president, even as
Oh, look at her eyes. She looks reptilian.
Support him and his administration.
appearing on CNN's State of
She's an infiltrator.
the Union, Greene said she remains loyal to the president, even after she pushes for the Justice Department to release all of the remaining case files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
I believe the country deserves transparency in these files, and I don't believe that rich, powerful people should be protected if they have done anything wrong.
House Speaker Mike Johnson said Wednesday that a bill calling for the release of the files will be put to a vote this week. On Sunday's Face the Nation, lawmakers from both sides of the aisle agreed it's time for the files to be released.
We need to release the documents. The American people need to see what's in them. And if President Trump says there's nothing there that he's concerned about, then why doesn't he support release of the documents?
I wish the president realized that the more the White House pushes back on this, it just looks bad, right? And I think the speaker's right. This is going to happen, so let's get it done and vote on it.
And there's new CBS News polling out today on the role that Democrats and Republicans played in ending the record-breaking shutdown. Most Democrats surveyed said their party compromised too much. Most Republicans say their delegation's approach to compromise was about right. And by a wide margin, Americans say it was Republicans and President Trump who succeeded in getting more of what they wanted from the negotiations to end the shutdown. Willie James Inman, CBS News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Now to the escalating war of words within the GOP.
So now all the Trump sycophants, they can talk about their side winning. I win.
For the Epstein files, President Trump sparring with one of his most loyal allies, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling her a traitor in a social media post. Greene firing back as a critical vote on the Epstein files is set for Tuesday. ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang reports from Washington.
Tonight, just days before the House is set to vote on releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files, President Trump ramping up attacks on one of his closest allies.
We
Trump
keep
declaring
saying
he's withdrawing his
days.
support.
How many days is it? Can we do a countdown to the release of the Epstein files, Shab?
Get a
Well,
timer.
these are in descending order based on what date they were uploaded.
Trubisky, do a countdown stream to the Epstein files.
Republicans who joined Democrats to force that vote. Trump accusing Greene of betraying.
It is looping a little bit.
A new public plea tonight from 11 Epstein survivors.
I was 14 years old. I was 16 years old. This was me when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
This PSA, a call to action, urging Americans to make their voices heard ahead of that vote to try to force the release of the Epstein files.
There are about 1,000 of us.
Two of those women, Annie Farmer and Danielle Bensky. What is
1,000. It's a lot of people. It's like a third of the victims of from 9/11.
Is your message to lawmakers here just hours before this House vote happens?
I would say, please remember that these are crimes that were committed against real humans, real individuals. This is not a political issue. This is not partisan. We're asking for you to stand with us now to release all of the files.
It's never been political for us. We've been saying that, and it seems to be, we scream it from the rooftops, and somehow it still gets politicized. But just it is like a deeply personal story. We are all coming together for this cause, for a reason, because we want to change it for the future, for our daughters, and really for, to if I could give myself, my former self, that 17.
Well, really, the best approach to getting away with abuse is to just gaslight the victims.
Year-old self, a big hug and say it's all going to be okay. And
the ultimate method.
Farmer and Bensky here in Washington ahead of this week's House vote and that rally at the Capitol at which one.
You think Trump's a efficient gaslighter?
Baker says he'll call for President
I wouldn't
Trump
say efficient.
We hope that there's enough momentum that we get the results we're looking for, and that if it's really clear that this is what the American people want and this is what what our government is pushing forward, that he will follow through with that.
So I think just to have that moment with him where he can see the truth in our faces.
Watch them do something really intricate to try to eliminate the files, where it's like some Russia or Chinese terrorist group, they emitted some electromagnetic pulse miles from the White House, and that wiped all the data from the servers.
It would be really helpful.
And now, another step in their fight for accountability and transparency for them and all survivors.
We have accomplished a lot that people said was impossible, and I think that feeling the support that we feel, knowing how popular this is with the American people, that a tremendous amount of pressure placed on the government means things happen, and that this really could move forward.
It feels very unprecedented, and that's kind of the exciting part about it, and that's where hope lives. So if it can be the American women's story, here we are, and we'll be on the steps of the Capitol together, holding hands, and hopefully every woman in America can look to that and feel a little bit safer.
Both women tell us they're grateful for the support of all the lawmakers, both Democrats and a handful of Republicans who have pledged support.
We thank you for watching.
Taking you live to the White House right now.
I just want to say this
lawmakers.
for Hello Kitty in the chat. They said, I think this is a minor issue, pun not intended, compared to a million of essays and gaslighting daily. I think
you don't know what they intended. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it is a pretty major issue if our president is.
Are they making a joke?
I don't know.
Minor issue.
I think I made the joke. I'm not sure.
Well, here, I gotta pee. I'll be right back. Are you gonna talk to the chat?
Ladies and gentlemen, ask your questions, receive your answers. As long as it has nothing to do with the rash on my butt.
All right, let me see. Yeah, I'll keep track of how long he's gone.
Yeah, how long is he gone?
Making 5D jokes.
He's lucky he didn't place them headphones too close to the fucking mic.
Oh, you have to bitch him out for like 10.
At least.
Instead of just tell him that he one mistake after like hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
That would be Taylor. Taylor Gang being gorgeous in the chat like usual.
Hit the like button, guys.
Yeah, like the stream if you're here. It helps bring more people along to make an opinion. You should make a poll, Shab. Make a poll and just make it say, is he in the files? That'll be
I was thinking actually I was Trump in.
We're making a poll, Gene. Sam in the chat says he wants to see the Bubba Donnie tape and enjoy it. Now that's strange. I mean, that's some extra level kink.
Calling for the release of the Epstein files. Trump even coming after Republicans.
Somebody said, yeah, but Gene can't help that. I can't help what?
Oh, yeah, John. I just wanted to inform you that you were gone for like a minute and 35 seconds, John. What were you doing again? You said you had to pee.
But I told everyone that I gotta pee, and I don't
Okay. Yeah, John.
Republicans like
Excuses. I thought this was your stream, John.
I didn't say people weren't allowed to get up. Like,
sorry. I'm just giving you shit, John. I'm just giving you shit.
I just want to know why Gene is going to the bathroom when my mouth is right here.
CBS News Miami's James Inman reports on the pressure the president is facing from lawmakers tonight.
Days after President Trump announced he is withdrawing his support for Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Georgia Republican says she still supports the president.
And I do support him and his administration.
Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, Greene said she remains loyal to the president, even after she pushes for the Justice Department to release all of the remaining case files related.
well, don't we know that Trump's on the Epstein list? Isn't that something that's established?
I want to see how many people are just obstinate against it, John. 24% say no.
To convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
I believe the country deserves transparency in these files, and I don't believe that...
If you had to show what you were voting for, I guarantee a lot more people would have voted yes.
...protected if they have done anything wrong.
House Speaker Mike Johnson said Wednesday that a bill calling for the release of the files will be put to a vote this week. On Sunday's Face the Nation, lawmakers from both sides of the aisle agreed it's time for the files to be released.
We need to release the documents. The American people need to see what's in them. And if President Trump says there's nothing there that he's concerned about, then why doesn't he support release of the documents?
I wish the president realized that. The more the White House pushes back on this, it's it just looks bad, right? And I think the speaker's right. This is going to happen, so let's get it done and vote on it.
And there's new CBS News polling out today on the role that Democrats and Republicans played in ending the record-breaking shutdown.
And like anyone who's going to defend him, what excuse does he have to not release it? It's just if he had nothing to hide. And if there was nothing like incriminating towards him, then it's just, it would make sense just to release it. I mean, people that are still going to defend him, it's just, they clearly aren't the kind of people that just believe what one person tells them, and they clearly don't just jump on the bandwagon. They know how to think for themselves. They're a bunch of men going their own way.
Democrats surveyed said their party...
Right. If you've been implicated in one way or another, I feel like you would be invested. Like, if you've been implicated and you're innocent, you are the most invested in having these files released so that people can see that you're innocent.
Republicans say their delegation's approach to compromise was about right, and by a wide margin, Americans say it was Republicans and President Trump who succeeded in getting more of what they wanted from the negotiations to end the shutdown. Willie James Inman, CBS News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
In the Caribbean, the U.S. Navy beefing up their presence.
We're not ready for that yet.
Developing tonight, there are growing demands to release all the files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Pressure is also increasing on both the Justice Department and President Donald Trump to make the documents public. This comes on the heels of newly released documents the House Oversight Committee made public. They include Trump's name coming up repeatedly in Epstein's messages. The two were friends for more than a decade. And now, 218 lawmakers, including 4 Republicans, signed a petition forcing a full House vote demanding the release of the Epstein files.
We're going to put that on the floor for a full vote.
Okay. Want to get to the next topic?
Yeah, I'd like to know what day. I'm Googling
Trump
it.
issued a mass pardon for over 1,500 people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. We were wondering around here, what happened? Where are they now? Well, let's start with a militia member who was actively texting members in an Oath Keepers group chat, who called himself, and I am not making this up, a member of the Curb Stomp crew, and who is now the lucky recipient of not just one, but...
Dude, he did like American History X.
I say, sounds like a real tough guy.
Remember American History X?
Oh, yeah.
With like the curb stomp.
2 presidential pardons. President Trump pardoned this man, Dan Wilson, on Friday for owning unauthorized firearms after he had all...
Now, do you think there's other similarities between that particular character and the person in question here as part of the curb stomp gang? Yeah.
Probably
they're
a
both
few
Nazis?
that they won't like. Yes.
been pardoned?
Both enlightened.
You guys are very, very responsive.
Last year for felony conspiracy.
Well, I was just looking. It's
during
Tuesday. I don't know what time Tuesday, but Tuesday they're voting on the files.
Okay.
Yay.
Wilson joins a growing list of January 6th
You could do a countdown to that.
defendants who have new or resurfaced legal troubles. Like
That's
this
what I mean. We
Zachary
need
Allen.
like
He was
the
sentenced to 8 years
Shabisky
for-
countdown stream, right? With the like have a thumbnail that's totally like Shabisky doesn't know how serious this stuff is.
His face is shocked, and he's like, it's like,
yeah, it's just like, oh, like,
Oh no!
oh my
the
God, the
files
Epstein
are
files
coming
are gonna
out.
drop,
Wonder
bro.
what
The
that's
files.
about. It's crazy. I'm scared.
Assaulting police officers on January 6th.
Shab's on the
before he
list.
Demanded a pardon from
Yeah,
Trump.
I'm
When
at
a
the
local
top of
station
the
asked Allen
list.
what he would do once he was released, he said,
frequent
quote,
flyer.
"Just for me to know
Yeah,
and you to find out."
The list is coming out, guys. I hope I'm on
After
it.
his release, Zachary was arrested in connection with a home invasion.
Yeah,
Here
yeah,
at
that
MS Now,
should
we
be
have tracked
the way I act on the stream. Like I have no clue what the fuck is that. I love that. Sorry.
over
hope
a
I'm on
dozen
the
cases
file,
of January
guys.
6th defendants who have new or resurfaced legal troubles, including
Oh, you've been talking over all the stats that they've been providing.
lucky recipient of not just one, but 2 presidential pardons. President Trump pardoned this man, Dan Wilson, on Friday for owning unauthorized firearms after he had already been pardoned last year for felony conspiracy charges during January 6th.
Oh, and I know that one of the people who was pardoned, they found like CP on their computer, on their devices.
Wilson joins a growing list of January 6th defendants who have new or resurfaced legal troubles, like this man, Zachary Allen. He was sentenced to 8
Doesn't he look like a Chad?
years for assaulting police officers on January 6th before he demanded a pardon from Trump. When a local station asked Allen what he would do once he was released, he said, quote, "That's just for me to know and you to find out." Unfortunately, we did find out. Less than 4 months after his release, Zachary was arrested in connection with a home invasion. Here at MS Now, we have tracked over a dozen cases of January 6th defendants who have new or resurfaced legal trouble, including
essay of a 7-year-old, drunk driving crash,
Oh God.
threatened to kill former president, terroristic threats. Dude, all these dudes. I mean, clearly they were people who needed to be free, who needed to
very
really
good
contribute
people.
to society.
deadly drunk driving, burglary, reckless homicide, and
Do you think all of this is fake news? They're just making all this up and we're just believing what the media is telling us? Turns out that none of these people are real, or they're all just actors.
child sex crimes. A lot of child sex crimes. At least 2 people have been reportedly killed by January 6th defendants, including a
Oh, domestic violence.
mother of 2.
I'll say this is
You
it's
can see
gone.
What?
I was going to talk about the map. So it's strange to me, it's a strange observation that over there in the bottom left with Kyle Travis Colton, how they worded his charge, and then over there on the right there, David Daniel, and how they worded his charge. Like, why are you going to go out of the way to say it that way when they're the same thing? I don't know. It's weird.
people have been reportedly.
Wait, which two?
The Kyle one on the bottom right there.
Well,
And
I think
then- and-
that's
yeah,
because
it's
they
probably
had
a bit different. It's probably
Well,
and then
they
you compare
had-
it to David on the far right, which is CP, his thing.
Oh, okay.
But it probably is a bit different. Whatever like
Yeah.
maybe there was actually a
Yeah.
physical child involved
Oh, I think maybe this is
or something.
CP where the kid is being
Yeah.
like,
something
Okay, I
like
don't
that.
want to
being
speculate
assaulted.
too much
Okay.
about
Killed
this.
It's
by
probably
January
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
6 defendants, including a mother of 2 named Victoria Wilson, who you can see with her family on the screen here. Wilson was killed in a drunk driving crash by Emily Hernandez, who is the person who stole Nancy Pelosi's nameplate during January 6th.
I'm just shocked because these outstanding American citizens, these patriots that we were told by Donald Trump and
Somebody in the chat says Democrats for illegals. Well, if you're going to use that to poison the well when it comes to the opposing side to deflect in regards to what Trump's being accused of, what's worse, people who want to defend illegal immigrants or people who want to defend a mass sort of CP human trafficking ring? Shows, how unprincipled you are.
the Republican Party, people
priorities,
who were just
I guess.
defending democracy.
Priorities.
People
who
have
were given a
different
second
priorities.
chance in life and allowed to return to their communities to be outstanding citizens have ended up killing people and abusing children and committing home invasions and driving drunk and what have you.
It's almost like when people don't have consequences for their actions,
Yes.
they might
Get
never learn
emboldened,
from them.
get
Yes.
emboldened and feel that they're above the law.
This is, though, exactly the kind of issue that isn't getting enough attention because of the onslaught of crazy Trump news all the time.
Yeah.
Back when these pardons were issued, it was really controversial, and most of the country disapproved. Over 60% of the country disapproved, and without talking
you think those numbers are fake?
Whole
I don't know. It
numbers
doesn't
that
fit
make
my
me sound
worldview,
bad.
so bring in the confirmation bias.
About it and it being a thing, you see
Every
what the
time.
consequences are of there not being a microscope, of there not being a lens on something like this.
Well, we as a team have to keep tracking these cases because something tells me that the dozen plus we've found so far, they're not going to be the end of the list.
Yeah, and I was going to say, the other part of this is a president and the Republican Party who pride themselves on being the law and order party, right? And so when you kind of take that for the position that they've claimed it to be, an issue that they run on and an issue that they kind of go sell to the American people, and then you pardon the very 1,600 people who were involved in an insurrection only for them to go out and commit more crimes, it really shows you how hollow your promises are, how hollow the values that you're espousing to Americans are, that you are the law and order party, that you are the pro-police or defend the blue, all of the rhetoric that we heard during the campaign that they used against the Democrats.
Well, here, this is a scenario where it doesn't really benefit, my president that I want to be a fanboy of. So just turn your brain off. I mean, only stick to your principles if they actually benefit the narrative that you want to pander to at that time. That's what cognitive dissonance is for and selective memory is for. It's a wonderful tool if you're somebody who just doesn't give a fuck about facts or consistency and you just want to do whatever you want.
On order for some people, not
Yeah,
for
you know,
others.
if Obama did it, they'd be like, oh yeah, they just let criminals get away with shit. This is, this is the liberals for you, supporting crime and shit like that, It's okay
Yeah,
when Trump,
I mean,
Daddy Trump does it.
Hey, I can point to things that politicians on the left have done. So that magically means that the stuff politicians on the right have done is okay. Because as long as you can find an adversary doing something bad, that magically just absolves you of any and all accountability. Yeah, this person, they robbed a bank, so that makes it okay that I, murdered a bunch of kittens. So that's how things work.
Somebody clip that.
The defendant,
Two very different reactions to that one.
Katie Vance had said, "Oh, I support the pardons, just not, assaulting police officers if they've insulted law enforcement."
He didn't want the pardon, but he still got pardoned.
Still got it. That dude got some kind of or commuted or pardoned, but he definitely got out of prison. So
every single position that they have taken over the course of the last several years about this issue, they have totally been. They've just lied on. I mean, J.D. Vance said that people who attacked the police on that day should not have been pardoned. They were all pardoned. People who are violent or severe criminals should not be pardoned. They were all pardoned.
And all this talk about giving millions in legal fees and giving, money from the Department of Justice to these individuals.
Can you imagine what's going to happen?
I want to get the money? The children who were molested by January 6th.
Yeah, no
who
kidding.
were let out of jail.
No kidding. I wonder, are they trying to go for a third pardon for some of these people? It feels like they are just giving this blank check.
And I'm worried about one more thing really quickly to your point when you started saying that, which is when you see what's happening with Michael Flynn and Donald Trump wanting to try to extract money now from the Department of Justice. I can envision a scenario where these January 6 people who have been pardoned will try and go to the
They're probably
Department
meeting
of
with lawyers to say,
and say,
what's
hey,
my case to get this
shake down the taxpayers.
Absolutely, classic.
Sir, you met with your Saudi counterpart today. Can you talk about what is being discussed in preparation for MBS visit to the White House next week? And will the Saudis get a security deal that is better than the deal that
we need to protect the Saudis. So we'll get to Sudan. I know the UAE is not really supporting the most ethical faction in terms of the Sudanese crisis going on now, but I don't know, Saudi Arabia, I think they might also be engaging in some foul play with the RSF in Sudan, who are currently murdering, or within a very small amount of time, within the last week, have genocided close to 10,000 people. But I don't know, why do you think they love Saudi Arabia so much?
Oil?
Because they're evil.
that Qatar?
Oil? No.
Yeah, pretty much. And they also they have a decent military, so it's just another Western ally sort of foothold that we have in the region.
Previously got.
We're still working through all
They're
that.
kind of just another Israel. They do the same shit to Yemen. They have Yemen under some sort of medieval style sort of siege, where they have it enclaved and they don't let trade in or out of the country. So Hezbollah, or not Hezbollah, the Houthis have taken over there, and it's just the same thing. Yemen, lots of parallels with that in Gaza.
I mean, obviously, all that'll be.
But America, we're the land of the free. We don't support no genocide.
Just prior to or during the visit, but we'll have some good agreements to sign with them. A lot of progress has been made since the president's visit there, so we're working through that. I feel good about where it's at. There's still a few things that need to be tightened up and finalized, and we're gonna have a good meeting next week.
That's true, Taylor. And you're staying there.
Welcome back. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, will visit President Trump at the White House 1 week from today as the two nations continue to increase alliances. They are set to.
What's that?
Kind of like she said, President Trump.
President Trump.
Deal a defense package during those talks.
Maybe she flubbed.
The White House next week. Going ahead of that, joining me now is Minister of Tourism of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Excellency Ahmed Al Khatib. Your Excellency, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Before I get to the conference this morning, what would you like to see in terms of further alliances between the United States and the Kingdom?
Thank you very much for having me. As you all know, we have a very strategic, long-lasting, and successful relationship with the United States. President Trump was here last May, and we had a very successful visit. His Royal Highness, as you said, the upcoming visit will be definitely, it will build on all the discussion that they had. And since May, a lot of.
Well, we got a twink in the chat. Hit me up.
Oh no, Trump's going there to take notes on like, hey, you royals, you seem to do a good job, like governing your country. So if I wanted to be a royal, like, how do I go about things?
In the region, and therefore this is a very important visit. It will continue to build on the very solid relationship between the two nations.
Yes, Minister, tell us what has changed in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I mean, you're now at the Tour Rise Summit. This summit begins today in Riyadh, bringing together business leaders, government officials, investors to try to reshape the global tourism industry and continue to increase tourism there. Saudi Arabia has seen a 102% surge in international tourism this year compared to 20.
Should we vacation Saudi Arabia?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Perfect. Yeah. Dude, the next PPP meetup is going to be in Saudi Arabia.
I would guess that it's probably fairly safe vacation there. I don't think they'd want to
smoke weed there. Smoke weed there.
I don't know, probably. I mean, in some of those, like Dubai, a lot of those like cities, they have very lax drug laws.
Mr. Beast just...
Alcohol is illegal in Saudi Arabia. Go ahead.
My bad. Mr. Beast just released a theme park, an amusement park in Saudi Arabia.
Jesus.
Let's go to Mr. Beast land, dude. Meet up in Mr. Beast land.
Well, I mean, in Saudi Arabia, a lot of like the royals and elites, they'll like just engage in polygamous relationships. They don't like engage in abstinence. They will just consume all the alcohol they want. So they have these very, very draconian sort of Sharia law sort of policies that they enforce on the people. But then there's lots of these sort of like gated Western communities because, you know, like they'll have like expats that work there. And in those communities, they kind of just like let them do whatever they want. It's like, hey, the stuff that we act like you need to be lashed for if you like don't practice it in the most draconian manner imaginable. Yeah, okay, drink and stuff. Just keep it in your Western gated community. And in the cities where they're giant tourist hubs, it's probably the same thing. They probably go out of their way to make it as like lavish and as much of a sort of hedonistic experience as possible.
2019. Can you tell us a little more about what has changed in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia since that trip? I mean, the International Monetary Fund has raised Saudi Arabia's economic growth forecast to 4% for this year and 2026. And of course, President Trump secured an historic $600 billion investment deal with the Saudis in defense, energy, technology, and critical minerals. We spoke about this when I sat down with the Crown Prince back in 2017 in Riyadh. He told me about starting the futuristic city project in Neom. And I know, Your Excellency, you are very, very far along in that regard at this point.
You know, Saudi Arabia has been relying almost completely on energy and oil for many, many decades. And since His Royal Highness the Crown Prince launched Vision 2030 back in 2016, we explored new sectors. And tourism was one of the sectors that the country decided to unlock. First, we launched the international visa back in 2019, and then we continue our reforms. And we have launched the new destinations and the investment in new destinations like the Red Sea, Qiddiya, Dir'iyya, and new airlines, Riyadh Airlines and the King Salman Airport to
look at that lavish architecture.
Drive the sector to contribute in the economy. And therefore, we have reached to 5% of the economy coming from the tourism sector by end of last year. And we want to double this number by 2030 when we have all the ecosystem.
No, something else they do in Saudi Arabia is they have, like every single day, they pretty much completely halt or suspend the economy, where everyone is expected to invest or devote their time to like an hour of prayer. So I think I don't know. Definitely costs their economy quite a bit to do that every day.
Running, starting from the airlines to the airports.
Yeah, that sounds like a waste, a lot of time.
Yeah, but they need to be holy and pure.
Additional 250,000 kirums. That is
We see
construction.
the right loves Saudi Arabia,
Expo 2030, and this
so
will
you're a libtard for not liking that. That was all. That was all I needed.
Oh well,
You're a libtard for not liking it.
What's
Checkmate.
odd is a lot of them probably have no fucking clue how close the United States is to Saudi Arabia.
That too.
Hosting the FIFA World Cup 2034, and this will also help a lot. We look at the tourism sector as an economical sector, a sector that creates jobs for youth and women, and it is a very good sector for prosperity and for sustainability. That's why Saudi Arabia is putting the sector as one of the main 2030 pillars.
Well, this is very exciting, Minister, for sure. President Trump, of course, helped lead a Middle East peace deal last month between Israel and Hamas. He is now hoping for more peace and prosperity in the region. And, of course, with that also comes an ability.
They don't have degenerate potheads. As a net, they'll be just fine.
I mean, a lot of degenerate potheads work 40 hours a week.
Degenerates.
Expect more travel and
Probably.
Here's the president. Watch this.
They don't like me.
This is the day that people across the region and around the world have been working, striving,
I could tell.
hoping, and praying for. They have.
Well, Chab is one of the most unethical human beings on the planet.
Done things over the last month that
There's Hitler, then there's Chab.
I think were really unthinkable. Nobody thought this could happen. With the historic agreement we've just signed, those prayers of millions at long last, we have peace in the Middle East. And it's a very simple expression, peace in the Middle East. And we've heard it for many years, but nobody thought it could ever get there. And now we're there. The rebuilding begins. The rebuilding is maybe going to be the easiest part. I think we've done a lot of the hardest part because the rest comes together. We all know how to rebuild, and we know how to build better than anybody in the world.
Yeah, Trump builds better than anybody. He's the best builder.
It builds so good.
Yeah, let's see Trump out there, like actually operating some heavy machinery. Trump with like a sledgehammer and like a jackhammer, some drills. Do you think Trump would do a good job? Yeah,
They're right, dude.
Really carry his own weight.
That's part of like what makes it weird that all these like right wingers that are like.
Hey, he went to McDonald's. I saw him doing some work, getting his hands dirty at McDonald's.
These right wingers that a lot of them would say the typical kind of bullshit like, oh yeah, he's a sissy if you don't work with your hands and build and fix cars and stuff like that. But then it's like Trump is the dude they vote for, the dude that's like never done any of that shit their whole life, and they wear makeup every day. Like he's like far from being someone that they should find relatable.
Dude, Trump is more blue collar than anybody.
Yeah,
he knows blue collar.
Yeah.
Same thing with Elon Musk.
He was just
and all the billionaires.
Yeah, he was born into being rich.
Yeah, all the billionaires that the right likes to defend, they're people who are known for getting their hands dirty and living a very blue collar sort of lifestyle.
Yeah.
They're the first group of people I think of when I think of hardworking Americans.
Oh, yeah.
Next topic.
Global outrage over the mass killings by Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces has done little to quell the violence in the city of El Fasher. Claims by the RSF that it has arrested the perpetrators are being treated as a PR stunt. Those who have managed to flee the city recount indiscriminate violence and ethnic targeting after RSF fighters seized the key city in Sudan's Darfur region. Our next report contains scenes which you may find disturbing.
It's been a harrowing escape for thousands fleeing the violence in El Fasher. Arriving at the nearby town of Tawila, they describe killings, rape, starvation, kidnappings and theft by fighters from the Rapid Support Forces or RSF.
Many armed men arrived. We were not strong enough to oppose them. They tried to separate the women, but we refused.
My husband is dead. They killed him.
Many have not made
Now, so far, like in Telfer, like hope I'm pronouncing the capital right, from space, satellite imagery, they're able to see like just blood stains that are like all over the place. The entire like city, all the streets and stuff are just like painted red. And there's even like gore piles that are, it looks like they're several feet in diameter.
out of Al-Fasher since the RSF
Yeah,
invaded the city.
that
Social media
aerial
footage
view
appears
that
to
we
show evidence
saw a few nights ago of what that shit looked like.
Oh, there was
from
one that
above.
even, it looked like a red crater. One, it
Yeah.
like filled an entire parking lot.
their atrocities, including hundreds shot dead at a maternity hospital.
Somebody said this is anti-godly. Are you talking about what we're covering or how we're covering it?
Predominantly Arab militia is accused of ethnically motivated killings against non-Arab communities.
Trump
in
is
total
helping to
war with
fund
Sudan.
this.
Um,
I'd say that is ungodly, yes.
I would say he currently wants to invest all his time getting involved in Venezuela, which goes against his campaign promise. And I'd say Israel, he definitely is helping with Israel's genocide over there. I would say here it's more probably indirect, where, you know, sucking the dick of like the UAE and all the like Arab states, and those Arab states are going out of their way to fund like the RSF, which is the main faction engaging in these atrocities.
Sudan's army. Humanitarian
Yeah,
groups
but
from the United
I
Nations
think
are demanding
Gantz makes a good point in saying that there's still basically Trump is funding the same thing, if not this particular action.
Yeah. No, Trump is highly ethical. He's more ethical than anybody. He knows his ethics.
urgent intervention.
Can anyone here say that we did not know this was coming? We cannot hear the screams, but as we sit here today, the horror is continuing. Women and girls.
Yeah, now we've been covering this on and off for the last year and a half. So this has been going on for a while. So this is another example of it with Ukraine. The whole world is covering it, and at least like the Western world. So people look at that like that is like the biggest military conflict going on. But then you also had the Tigrayan War, which was taking place in Ethiopia. And around like the time span that was going on, where it overlapped with Ukraine, it was collecting the same casualty count. And no one was talking about it. And then in Burma, when the junta took over with their coup, the time that like the current civil war in Burma has been overlapping with Ukraine, it's also been collecting the same casualty count, or generating the same casualty count. And the media doesn't really pay attention to it. And here, I believe the casualties are like getting to the point where they might surpass the casualty count in Ukraine. And this has been going on for like a fourth of the amount of time.
Are being raped, people mutilated and killed with utter impunity.
Despite repeated warnings, there has been no major international effort to stem the fighting between the RSF and Sudan's armed forces. They've been at war for more than 2 years, sparked by two generals fighting for power following a coup. Both sides are accused of widespread atrocities during the fighting, which has killed tens of thousands. But the
That's a lot of 9/11s.
world is not just standing by. Foreign governments are said to be fueling the conflict.
So I know South Sudan, it's one of the youngest countries on the planet. It might actually be the youngest country. So that was like a decade or like a couple decades ago. So now you look at the current like borders that are being drawn up, the different factions, and we might have East Sudan, a South Sudan, and a Sudan. Or an East and West Sudan and a South Sudan.
Multiple UN reports accuse the United Arab Emirates of providing weapons to the RSF, claims Abu Dhabi denies. And Sudan's armed forces have support from Egypt. While those are the two key players, there are plenty of others.
And Wagner is there. They're giving support to the RSF. And
allegedly.
they're also in like Niger and Burkina Faso, giving like weapons and training to the like troops there, and then of course the United States and France are getting involved in that region. So Cold War's never ended.
Providing military support or with strategic interests in the conflict. They're being called on to put an end to the brutal war.
The genocide in El Fasher is completely clear to the international community. But the international community remains silent. We hear nothing except expressions of condemnation and denunciation, which will not solve the problem.
The UN says more than 36,000 people have fled Al Fasher since Sunday. As the world watches, the fate of nearly 180,000 civilians still trapped in the city remains unknown.
Well, Kashif Shafiq is country director at Sudan Relief International and joins us from Port Sudan.
Overseas now, new reporting tonight on a humanitarian crisis in Sudan. Thousands of civilians have been massacred over the past week by Arab militias. It is the latest horror in a civil war that has left millions displaced, starving, and terrified. Here's CBS's Elizabeth Palmer.
Good evening. The massacres occurred in the city of Al Fasher after it fell to a militia called the Rapid Support Forces. We know they executed civilians because they posted videos of it, shooting men and boys, and witnesses say more than 400 patients and families in a hospital. This is ethnic slaughter, Arab fighters killing African tribal Sudanese. After some women and children were allowed to flee, Al Fasher was cut off with no phones or internet. But a team at Yale has been watching from space.
Help us.
Natty Raymond heads the Humanitarian Research Lab.
We use a lot of what's called...
I don't know, Yale, isn't that one of those liberal indoctrination centers? You know what I am saying?
Yeah, I know what you were saying.
I mean, they're not like billionaires and stuff. All the pundits, academics, professors, scholars, scientists that all like work at these universities, like they don't have billions of dollars, so therefore they're all worthless and don't know what they're talking about. Clearly, I get all my information from the CEOs, so I know who to get my information
especially if that information goes against the interests of my favorite corporation.
Yeah. I mean, if you inherit billions of dollars or whatever, then that means that a PhD in just electrical engineering and meteorology and chemistry, epidemiology, it just in all the sciences, the hard and soft sciences, they just automatically just get uploaded to your brain.
That is analyzing satellite photos like this one of a residential neighborhood and shapes on the ground in pools of red.
The only explanation we can get is that red color around an object that is between 1.3 to 2 meters, that is blood.
So we're looking at a collection of people who've basically been executed.
Yes, this is what a massacre looks like in an urban area where civilians are trapped in their houses.
50 miles away, those lucky enough to escape are stranded in refugee camps, while international condemnation
Somebody said, yes, need to be careful listening to anyone from Yale. So, Harvard, etc. Here's the thing. You should never just accept any sort of information from any source at face value. Like, any, source or platform is going to have some level of error rate. I mean, like, acting like, yeah, it's all about finding that one source or person that because it comes from them, that guarantees that it's true. That's just not something that exists. So it's a case-by-case basis, and it's about, like, cross-referencing the information and trying to get your information from as valid of, like, a source base as possible. So it's plausibility and probability that matter. So if it's coming from, like, one of the world's leading academic institutions, it's much more likely to be true than if it's coming from, I don't know, some random dude on subreddit. Or it's probably more likely to be true than if somebody like Donald Trump is saying something that conflicts with it in front of a lectern. It's not a guarantee. That's why you got to do your homework, get your information from multiple sources and fact check. But when people sit there and discount a source using the logic of it could be wrong, therefore you're an idiot for trusting it at all. It's just that same logic can be applied equally to every source of information out there. based on that logic, you should just have this attitude of you can never know what the truth is, and therefore you shouldn't even try. So you should just be completely bipartisan on everything. And that's the problem. People who make that argument, they love believing whatever they hear from a right-wing source. They love seeing headlines from like a right-wing platform and just accepting it at face value. So, like, again, there doesn't really seem to be a lot of consistency.
Focuses on the United Arab Emirates. It backs these fighters who, back in Al-Fashir, have committed mass murder and are now trying to hide their crimes.
Have you any idea how many people have been murdered?
We've seen at least 2 mass graves so far. And then as of yesterday, we see the first evidence of large-scale burning. We're missing about 200,000 people. We know that for sure.
Last week, the State Department said that the U.S. was trying to craft a humanitarian truce in Sudan. But for the victims of Al-Fashir, Jarika, it's already too late.
Elizabeth Palmer, thank you so much.
This is Sudan, Africa's 3rd largest country, the nation of about 50 million people rich in cultures, religions, and politics. And blessed.
See what Dirk did, Chabisky? See, take notes.
With abundant natural resources, including gold and oil. But since it gained its independence in 1956 from British and Egyptian rule, the country has been haunted by coups, civil wars, and power struggles. Here is a look at Sudan's turbulent past and present. Sudan was under Anglo-Egyptian rule since the late 19th century, when the First Sudanese Civil War erupted in 1955. The war broke out only months before the...
So, Anglo-Egyptian rule, you know what that is?
No.
So, Anglo pretty much means England. So, it was a British colony. And Egypt was also like a British colony. And what date did they give? It's late. So I would say Suez Crisis, that was like 56. So I think, or they said Anglo, so it could be another apartheid thing.
It was between 1899 and 1956.
Yeah.
Since the late 19th century, when the First Sudanese Civil War erupted in 1955. The war broke out only months before the country gained its independence and was driven by deep ethnic and religious divides between the Muslim North and the largely Christian South. It would drag on for years and cost lives of 500,000 people. In 1969, Colonel Jafar Nimeiri took power.
Thank God for religion and colonialism. Just makes the world better.
Yeah, what
Of a nation in a coup and signed the idea.
Good thing. What the hell?
Well, they're just not following it the right way. That's what the problem is.
Agreement in 1972, ending the 17-year war and granting limited autonomy to southern Sudan. The peace, however, wouldn't last long, as tensions resurfaced in the ensuing years, intensified by foreign involvement. Uneasy about the spread of Islam in the region, the US, Israel, and other Western nations supported southern separatist movements. In 1983, a second civil war erupted in Sudan, led by the Sudan People's Liberation Army, or SPLA, under separatist leader John Garang. The war lasted more than 2 decades, claiming roughly 2 million lives due to violence, famine, and disease. While the civil war raged on, things got worse in 1989, when it faced another coup. The coup brought Omar al-Bashir to power, with the brigadier general becoming the nation's president in 1993. Bashir vowed to fight against separatist movements in the south. In 2002, the Machakos Protocol was signed, establishing the principle of self-determination for the people of South Sudan, and setting the framework that eventually helped end the Second Sudanese Civil War in 2005. The war had resulted in the deaths of more than 2 million people, and left some 4 to...
So, 2 million. Do you think that's a big number in terms of casualties?
I don't think so.
Not
like,
enough.
Pretty sure like 10 times that died during 9/11 or something, I think.
So I think in the 21st century so far, we haven't had any wars that have surpassed like 1 million in terms of casualty counts. So all the big wars going on currently are in the 6 digits. The Syrian Civil War, I know that's the deadliest war since the Second Congo War, so that may have surpassed 1 million. And then, of course, the Second Congo War, that had, it was like 8 million casualties, I think. So, and then World War II was between like 40 to 80 million casualties. But yeah, so that's to put things in perspective there. And only a handful of wars throughout human history have had casualty counts that have surpassed 1 million. So and the vast majority of them are in the modern age, like the 19th century and forward. So the only wars like prior to the like industrial age that surpassed 1 million were wars like the Hundredth Year War, which I don't think that surpassed 1 million, but like 30 years wars that lasted for decades and decades.
5.5 million displaced. Bashir's 30-year rule was defined by repression, corruption, and new wars, most infamously, the Darfur conflict. In 2003, non-Arab rebel groups in Darfur rose up against Sudan's government, accusing it of decades of political and economic neglect. They demanded an end to chronic economic marginalization and sought power sharing with the Sudanese state, as per a Human Rights Watch report. Bashir responded by arming and backing Arab militias, notoriously known as the Janjaweed, Popular Defense Forces, who carried out scorched earth campaigns across Darfur. Around 300,000 people were killed due to the fighting, famine, and diseases, and left more than 2 million displaced. The International Criminal Court later indicted Bashir for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide committed in Darfur.
Now, America, we would never stand by people who engage in war crimes.
Heck no.
After nearly half a century
They're
of civil
definitely
war, South Sudan gained
not
independence on
the
July
like
9th,
war crime sponsors of America or of the fucking globe.
Be fair, who doesn't commit war crimes?
Or sponsor
Are there
them.
any wars where war crimes didn't take place?
2011, becoming the newest country in the world, following a referendum under the Comprehensive Peace Agreement. To resolve remaining disputes, agreements on oil, security, citizenship, trade, borders, and other key issues were reached in the Addis Ababa Agreement on September 27, 2012. Under President Bashir, the Janjaweed were reorganized into the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, in 2013. The RSF was led by Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, also known as Hemeti. Hemeti transformed the RSF into a sprawling military and financial powerhouse. He built vast business networks, from gold mining and smuggling to foreign mercenary work, sending RSF militants into conflicts in Yemen and Libya. Peace agreements came and went in 2006, 2010, and later in 2020, but they failed to deliver justice or address the root causes of Darfur's suffering. In 2017, Sudan's parliament passed a law integrating the RSF into the Sudanese armed forces. It meant that RSF got some autonomy under the command of the president. The law created two separate militaries inside one state. But the country's years-long challenges, like economic decline, corruption, and repression, persisted, driving millions of Sudanese into the streets in large-scale protests in 2019. The protests grew into a nationwide movement, demanding an end to Bashir's 3-decade rule. In April 2019, the army, backed by the RSF, removed Bashir from power. A transitional government soon followed, led by civilian Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok, alongside the military. In 2021, the fragile transition collapsed after General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and Hemeti staged another coup, sidelining civilian leaders and taking...
Yeah, that seems to be a pattern that whenever one coup replaces a oppressive government, they just are... Usually they're as oppressive as the government they replaced.
Full control, with Hamdok resigning the following year in 2022. After the coup, a transitional council was formed, led by Burhan, with Hemeti as his deputy. The RSF maintained control over much of Darfur and parts of the capital. But the rivalry between the two generals soon began to crumble over how to integrate the RSF into
Mommy and Daddy were fighting.
the SAF. Burhan demanded a quick unification under the army's command. Hemeti resisted, seeing it as an attempt to strip him of power and gain control over his lucrative networks. In April 2023, what began as a power struggle between two generals turned into a full-blown war between the SAF and the RSF. The RSF used guerrilla tactics and took over key parts of the capital Khartoum and western Sudan. The army responded with airstrikes and heavy artillery. Neighborhoods became battlefields. More than 40,000 people have been killed since April 2023, though aid groups say the real number may be far higher. And some 14 million have been displaced, making it...
Okay, so here, what's the upload date? Okay, this is 6 days ago. So they're talking about like tens of thousands since 2023. But I believe in the last like week or two, like just within a couple weeks, tens of thousands of casualties were accumulated.
The site of the world's largest humanitarian and displacement crisis on record, according to the UN. Famine is widespread, and outbreaks of cholera and other deadly diseases are increasing. In October 2025, following more than 500 days of siege, the RSF captured the army's last stronghold, Al-Fashir, the capital of North Darfur State. Reports have emerged of executions, sexual violence, looting, attacks on aid workers, and abductions in and around Al-Fashir. Hundreds have been killed in the recent violence.
The reality is that no one is safe in Al-Fashir.
Analysts and officials warn that the violent actions being carried out could amount to crimes against humanity or genocidal acts. As of October 2025, Al-Fashir is controlled by RSF, with the paramilitary force also holding most of Darfur and parts of southern Sudan, while the SAF retains control of Khartoum and much of the country's northern and central regions. As the war grinds on, neither side is showing any sign of victory, leaving the North African country trapped in a prolonged stalemate. As a fractured state torn between two rival armed forces.
Do you think America needs to get involved and give lots of weapons and training to one of the factions?
Yeah.
A great idea.
That will help
Give
bring
them all
peace.
the weapons.
Yeah.
What do you think we
millions displaced,
pay so much for our military for, Gene? So we can do cool shit like that. Eh?
I mean, to help repel an illegal offensive invasion or defend against a genocide, something like that. You know, you'll never hear me complaining, but it's not like that's usually not what we're doing when we do that.
Hungry and living in fear.
Lives for 18 months in Al-Fashir, they're being targeted right now. And back again to the rule of war, there's one which is don't kill the ones who save lives. You know, this is basic rule of international humanitarian law and must be respected as well.
Mathilde Vu, we will have to leave it there. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us on the Newsmakers. Newsmaker is Sudan. Well, almost 1 year ago, we asked, what would be the cost of ignoring the brutal conflict in Western Sudan? Well, failure to find a solution has meant 11 more months of atrocities committed on a scale that many define as genocide. It's also meant the RSF was able to capture Darfur's city of Al-Fashir and has its sights on North Kordofan. Again, the region is gaining the world's attention over the severe humanitarian crisis and the brutal deaths of tens of thousands of people. And though the US, Egypt, Saudi, and the UAE are working on a peace agreement, many argue the so-called Quad's competing national interests make it doomed to fail. Here's a look.
Unimaginable atrocities are unfolding in Sudan's Al-Fashir. Since the paramilitary rapid support forces captured the city in Darfur last month, reports of...
No, I know the RSF especially has been obstructing aid workers, aid trucks from getting through. And they've been attacking refugee centers and civilian shelters. So, and lots of civilian infrastructure as well. So where's the UN to just at least have peacekeeper troops occupying the civilian areas and the roads that are used by the humanitarian caravans and everything? Why don't they at least have troops there to guard the humanitarian sort of elements?
Yeah, because that would cost money that we suddenly don't have when people could be helped with it.
Well, it seems like if the United States really cared, or other countries, it's like if we get our military involved, it seems like we wouldn't need to get involved in the fighting. But if the United States wanted to show how altruistic it was, or it is supposed to be, why don't they deploy troops or do what I just mentioned before, deploy troops in those civilian centers and humanitarian aid centers? Seems like, I don't know, do you think the RSF and the other faction, do you think they would still insist on attacking those locations? Engaging in the mass, the gang grape and everything? Lighting people on fire, scorched earth? Do you think they'd be engaging all these international, war crimes? If there was some other, higher military force that was just there to give protection to those
What would they be
particular
able to do about it?
Well, the thing is, if they're there and at least occupying those camps, those centers, then if the RSF tries to go in and attack those areas, then they'd be attacking UN troops or US troops. And I don't think most likely that would be a good deterrent. They wouldn't want to do that. So at the very least, a bunch of civilians wouldn't be dying.
You want to go put boots on the ground in Sudan and make a bunch of camps, John?
I think that's something the UN definitely needs to do. And the whole thing with the UN peacekeepers, like, people think of it like military operations, which technically is, but it's like, okay, international law. Is it supposed to get involved in like combat? And what they don't get is that the peacekeepers, what they're supposed to do is to just make sure that war crimes aren't being committed and to make sure that all of the like refugee and civilian like areas are safe.
Killings, rape, and abuse have been mounting.
Better than just letting it go on.
Organization said gunmen killed 460 people in a maternity hospital and kidnapped several medical workers. Tens of thousands have fled El Fasher, most of them making the dangerous journey on foot.
The Rapid Support Forces have beaten and humiliated us. They took all that we had and left us with nothing. We found bodies and others that they were beating and taking their belongings from, and lots of bodies on the ground.
They've arrived at the already overcrowded camp in Tawila, where there's not enough food or shelter. After enduring an 18-month siege, many are now traumatized and malnourished.
100% of the children are malnourished, with about half suffering from severe malnutrition. What we are seeing is truly dramatic. The situation is also concerning among adults, since malnutrition affects adults as well, not only children, which reflects the overall nutritional status and the lack of access to basic necessities in Al Fashir.
As many as 200,000 people are still trapped in the city, with history threatening to repeat itself in the worst possible way. In 2003, Janjaweed militias, led by the RSF leader Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, known as Hamedi, killed hundreds of thousands in Darfur. 2.5 million people were displaced, and the International Criminal Court accused the militias of genocide.
Okay, it's going over the same data.
Fighting in Sudan shows no sign of cooling down. The states of Kordofan have now become the Rapid Support Forces' latest target. The paramilitary group has reportedly breached the outskirts of the strategic city of Bab-Nusa. The Sudanese army says the city remains under its control, while their rivals say they are preparing a large-scale offensive. More than 170,000 civilians are believed to have fled Bab-Nusa, essentially the city's entire population. It marks yet another tragedy in a conflict that has forced millions from their homes into camps, creating what is now the world's largest humanitarian crisis. International appeals have gone largely unheard, despite Sudan's deepening crisis.
I issue a stark warning about events unfolding in Kordofan.
Now, Russia, Wagner, they've been supporting the RSF. So, discussed this before. There's 5 countries that have vetoing power. US, France, Britain, China, and Russia. And if one of those countries vote nay, then it doesn't matter if every other country within the UN votes for it. So, here, I would say it's most likely Russia that is obstructing foreign aid or care being invested in this region.
Since the capture of Al Fashir, the civilian casualties, the destruction and mass displacement there have been mounting. The Security Council's arms embargo is clear. The provision of continuing military support to sustain parties committing serious violations must stop. I repeat my plea for an immediate end to the violence both in Darfur and in Kordofan.
With the Sudanese army expelled from Darfur and the war now spreading to West Kordofan, displaced civilians are escaping north. The journey is anything but easy.
It took us 8 days on foot before we found transportation. There were 18 of us fleeing Al Fashir, and we lost 6 along the way. We couldn't find them. After that, we reached Tora in North Darfur. From there, we boarded the vehicle and arrived here after 9 days on the road.
Yet, nothing seems to deter the warring parties, both of which face accusations of grave human rights abuses. Bassam Bounini, TRT World.
Well, what is happening in Sudan's Darfur is not...
How long have they been streaming so far?
About 2 hours.
Here, I'm thinking of calling it a night. I'm dying.
Yeah, they've called you out for being
just
Sleepy
a little
Gene
over
all
2
night.
hours.
Yeah.
Gene.
Sleepy Gene wants to... Here, fine. I guess I'll go back on camera for the last. Sleepy Gene wants to call it a fucking night, doesn't he?
Alright, so it looks like according to the poll, Trump is on the Epstein list.
And 26% of people are trolls or delusional.
That's an appeal to popularity.
Alright, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Hit the like button, guys.
Good night, America.